Hi folks, welcome back to the Inquisition, another fun-filled episode with myself, Penge and Simon. This week's guest is going to be Matthew, aka Cookie, who is British Armed Forces and has done some pretty awesome fundraising for veterans. So how do you know, Penge? Hope you're well, mate. Alright, Tom, how you doing? If you've got any questions, then don't hesitate to throw them in the chat. Myself, Simon or Casey will respond back to you as soon as we read them. Alright, Tom, hope you're well, mate. Are you still good for Friday, my man? Hope you're for Sunday even. I know you're here before the fire. You're here before Simone. Who the fuck's Simone? You getting all Italian? Oh, Italian, Penge. Right, Penge, I've sent you an invite, so see if you accept that. I'll send you an invite now as well, Cookie. Right, Matt, how you doing, mate? That's
Hey, there we go.
Yes,
There it is.
without issue.
Hey, boys.
the add in the old man now, and we should be laughing.
Well, yeah, I've got more grey hair, put it that way.
How are you after the game yesterday, Casey? You happy with the 3 points?
Always take 3 points, mate.
Really.
Always take 3 points. Doesn't matter how good or how shit we are. But yeah, it's just really.
Don't tell me you're talking about the wrong sport.
There's only one sport, and it's the right sport.
That's the rugby.
It's so hard with rugby over
Don't know
the
if
years.
Simon's
I just
joined yet.
can't.
You know, I can't play football. That's why I play rugby.
I can't play either. It doesn't really matter.
What position do you play, Matthew?
Well, when I was younger, it was 7, and then when I got a bit lazier, it was 8. Now I'm too lazy, so now I coach.
Nice one.
To do it.
Yeah, that's it.
It says so.
So I think Simon's in.
I'm in, yeah.
Yeah, I can't see you, mate. So that's fine.
Well,
Oh,
the first time someone's asked Simon if he's been in, if he's in. Probably won't be the last time.
With us in spirit.
So Matthew, thanks very much for joining us, mate. I really do appreciate you hopping on here and giving us some lowdown of your hobby journey. So I'm just going to ask the first question, the same question I ask everybody. What was the first mini that you painted, and what age were you when you got into the Warhammer Party Track addiction?
Okay. It was a Corn Berserker, and I was 10 years old. Yeah, Corn Berserker, 10 years old, listening to Sum 41.
We get into deep by that point.
Yeah, I was just about to say, yeah. I think that's definitely what caught my eye.
That's sweet. And so you were 10 years old. That must have been late 90s then.
Yeah.
If you're listening into deep.
Yeah, it must have been. I still forget how old I am now.
And so what age were you? Like, obviously you're in the armed forces, so what age were you when you joined up?
21. So I was quite late to start with the army, actually, to be fair.
Yeah.
Although I wanted to join when I was 16, but my parents would never sign the release form. So by the time I turned 18, I was in a job, full-time job. So there was, I was getting smashed every weekend. I was enjoying myself. And at that point, I didn't feel like the army was for me. Until I turned 21, when I was in the same job still. And you know what? It was actually my best mate. So as I always used to go around to his house on a Friday evening for Warhammer, I used to go around, knock on where he used to work, wait for him to finish work, and then go to his house. Well, he wasn't at work. And his mates at work had said that he had left early to go somewhere with his mum. So I went down to knock on the house. And he said, yeah, he's just upstairs in his bedroom. So I went upstairs, as I always do. Get into his bedroom. He's got this army DVD, all this stuff all over all over his room. And he's like, I think I'm going to do it. And I laughed at first, but now I'm like like nearly 15 years down the line, I'm in the army. So
Yeah,
crazy.
man, like total respect to you, man. Well, I joined up when I was 16. I literally just turned 17. I think I was like 2 weeks after my 17th birthday. I started the process when I was 16, and I just turned 17 when I went to Glencoe to do my basic training. Did 10 weeks there, and then went to Catterick, in the infamous land of Nod. Fucking hated Catterick. Fucking hated.
But that was my first ever. My first ever tab was out to Orlando. So the Land of Nod is this particularly hilly part right in the centre of the training area, and you essentially go. It's literally up one side, back down, and then up the other side, and back down, and it's literally just constant. Yeah, that was my first ever tab was to the Land of Nod, and I did not like it very much. Put it that way.
For folks that don't know, which I assume would be the majority of people watching right now, Catterick is where all the infantry do their infantry course. So basically, Catterick's like a garrison town. So you get the paras there. They're in their own. I don't know if they're still in their own wee gay camp.
Yeah, so
You've got the guards.
yeah, Helly's barracks, yeah, with the guards.
You've got the guards who have their own corner of the barracks where they do their drill every single fucking Monday. I don't know if it's still a Monday they do it. And then you've got all the other regiments like chucked in together. So when I did mine, I was Scots Division, and we had Queen's Division in Glencoe. But then when we went to Catterick, you ended up having like the Royal Green Jackets, the White Infantry, and all the other regiments were there. And it was just the first time, probably like yourself, the first time you see the White Infantry march,
So
it's hilarious.
yeah.
They march like constipated ducks.
Caught the last little bit of that one.
Oh,
It's frozen.
Happens when you decide I'm going to leave the world and move to the west coast of Ireland, where the internet is run by monsters on wheels.
Nowhere in Ireland.
see if that works. Turned on my Wi-Fi.
Oh,
Any better?
There we go. Sorry, say that last piece again, mate.
I was just going to say, it was always so funny watching the first time you see the White Infantry march, because they march like constipated ducks and they're 147 beats a minute or something.
So the way the rifles and they're jogging onto the parade ground, and I'm just like, you do realise you're doing that because you were late to battle. So you can stand there and give it all to us. It's really, really cool and that, but you know why you're doing it is because you were late to battle. I'm just saying.
So between the ages of 10 and 21, was there ever a gap between when you did the Warhammer stuff? Get back to that just now.
I fell out of, I wouldn't say falling out of love with it. I think once I started hitting 18 and I started hanging around with that particular group of people, I put it on the back burner. You know, and when I look back at it, I had so many armies. I had high elves as well, and all sorts. But once I started hanging around that certain set of people, it just started falling out, and I just gave them all away. And it wasn't until I joined the army when I actually fell back in love with the hobby. When I realised there was about 20 blokes getting into a garage every Wednesday afternoon, and I was like, hang on, what's going on there? Until my mate invited me, and it's just grown on me ever since from there, really.
I think that was something I've been really interested in coming into this week, is obviously being in the military, the whole concept of wargaming as a whole has just arrived from the fact that hundreds of years ago, you just had these mad European kings just marching their armies about just for banter. So, you know, it's really interesting to hear that, and even with the stuff that you're doing, that so many people in the military are into this sort of stuff. And do you find that, as you sort of like, with your group, that you've got a lot of rank in there? Would you say you've got a lot of file in there? Is it a good mix of everyone, or?
It's a good mix of everybody. And this is what I love about this hobby, is regardless of rank, that just goes straight out the window. Not in a nice way.
Yeah.
You know, the Army Sergeant Major came down to my first one, which was a Rhino Hammer. and we were talking. And he's a big, tall engineer guy, which, by the way, he plays Lego, which is sound.
It makes sense.
But you know, I said to him, because he mentioned it to me, and he said, "You're really not shy about talking to the higher sort of ranks, as in like the colonels and all the rest of it." And I said, "Well, that's no offense to you, but I don't really care about the rank. I do care about the rank,
Yeah.
but what I mean is when you're in the hobby, you're just you're Bill and
Yeah.
Tom. You know, it's just friendly. It's a friendly atmosphere." And then when BFBS came down, they said exactly the same. There's, there was people that were lieutenant colonels that are playing, and then you've got people that are privates. So, and everyone just all on first name basis, and we all it's so much fun just to be able to put everything aside. The fact that we're still in the army, so we still have a little bit of banter between the regiments when someone doesn't do so well with their army and so on and so forth. But yeah, I never thought in a million years that hobby was so big in an environment like the army.
Mm.
And don't get me wrong, sometimes it's still the same, but yeah, it's really
Yeah,
good.
because you would think, you're actual soldiers, so why would you want to play toy soldiers in your spare time in a way? With respect to that, where you're saying, like, out on a parade ground, it's yes, sir, no, sir, 3 bags full, sir, but when you're rolling a dice, it's all right, mate. Do you find it really easy just to switch back into the mindset of this is fun, this is a job? You're my commanding officer here, you're my mate here, but out there, you're sir.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's just the training.
Mm.
And when you're constantly being drilled and drilled and drilled, it's like medical. It's like when you're medically
Yeah.
trained and you think, "Oh no, I've not had any training in the army," but you have a situation, and all of a sudden, boom, it snaps, and within an instant, you're doing what you've been taught. So before we go in, I worked very closely to my regimental 2IC, and my OPSO, and they were captains and majors. So, just before we're leading in, it's sir, yeah. But then as soon as we go in, it's like, "Oh, you're right, mate. Yeah, do this, do that. Yeah, cool." I call him Charlie by the first name. He's now a major. And he's always said, "Just call me Charlie," because sometimes I can't switch it off. So I'm like, sir, this is really cool. And he's like, "Cookie, it's Charlie. Come on." How many times have I forgot to tell you? But
I think
no, I find it really
I
easy.
think as well, just to jump in here, I think as well, like, see when you're playing sports as well, like, rank's forgotten on the field as well when you're playing sports as well. So if you are playing rugby, like when I played football when I was in the army as well, played for my company and that, and my regiment, and like the guy that was the manager of our team was a sergeant, and he would bollock anybody and everybody. Like I remember our platoon commander, who was a pretty gifted football player, had a shocking game. He's like, "For fuck's sake," and was just pure berating them on the football field. But as soon as the game finished, it's like rugby. Anything, if once the game's finished, it's forgotten about, and you go back to yes, sorry, and that same officer's marching you. And it's really his attitude. If he then takes it personally after that, then he's a bit of a dick of a guy anyway. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's the thing with the military. Like, it's drilled into you, but there is a time and a place to call people sir and no sir and boss and all that.
And I think that's why I find it, my love for the rugby is just as what I love for the Warhammer stuff. People still have that sense of toy soldiers and plastic figures. So when I first got into my regiment at 1RLC, before I started making the wargaming really big, as soon as I mentioned, "Oh, by the way, I play Warhammer," my sergeant's ringing me up a little bit later on, and he's like, "Hang on, Cookie, you don't play with plastic figures, do you?" And, "Yeah, I do. But I'm also a rugby player and a boxer, and I'm more than happy to put the gloves on and get down the ring. It's not a problem." And to be honest with you, I think just because I stand there and my OC had said to me was how brilliant it was. I was able to create that space for people to become and do what they love. And I think that's what really does generate when I go big and bold with all the big events. Nothing can stop me. And that's mainly down to watching other people having fun and being able to be themselves and still being in that environment where the next day they're captain or whatever, doing whatever the job they're doing. I think that's what really does drive me.
And there's first rifles you're in, yeah?
No. So I did. So I joined in 2009. So I actually started training in March, but I didn't get into regiment until the October. And I joined the 2nd Fusiliers, where I was an infantry. And I stayed with them until 2014, when we amalgamated to 1st Battalion Fusiliers. I didn't really want to go to a different infantry regiment because I wanted to stay with the same people. However, when we amalgamated, a lot of people didn't like the whole light infantry to armour, and a lot of them did get out over time. And I liked it for the first few years. It wasn't really my thing. I still wanted to stay in the army, so I joined the RLC as a driver comspec. So I kept my full square rank. And I tell you what, I wish I joined the RLC. Don't get me wrong, the infantry gave me all the experience, but oh my God, I find it so much more easier. And I love it so much that I'm able to grow in a lot more than what I was able to do in the infantry. The infantry isn't that bad, it's just I wasn't given the opportunity to grow as much as what I wanted to, I think.
And I think that's the problem with infantry, like, because I did infantry all my days, and I think we were promised, because we were based in Retford Barracks in Edinburgh, and we had just done like 3-4 years of PRB, Province Roman Battalion in Northern Ireland, and we were told we were going to go to Fallenbostel in Germany and take over from the RHF and work beside the Strauss-Struden Guards. And I was loving that, because I'd been to Germany in '99 to go to I did a tour of Bosnia and Kosovo in '99. And I loved Germany. It was cheap living, cheap food, cheap drink. It was absolutely awesome. And then we were going to Palace Barracks in Hollywood, and that was it. And most of our regiments signed off, but a lot of boys Scouts. They had already done like 10 years in the UK. They wanted to go further afield. So yeah, and I think the infantry is the lowest of the low. Like, there is no really, unless you were to transfer out, probably like yourself, Tricky, there isn't really much scope of growth, and it's sad. It's sad to a certain extent, because you can go and do your junior breaking and your senior breaking, but you're not really getting anything trade wise to help you. I know you get your experiment.
I'm going to fight that one a little bit, only because I think, yes, the infantry don't give you a specific qualification, but what that senior and junior Brecken does is management skills.
Oh yeah.
You know, and I feel like maybe they're starting to do it better now. Now it's starting to progress in the years, and they're starting to offer a lot more and give you. I think the offering, has always been there. It's being able to have your seniors go, oh no, you can go and do that course, or you can go and do this course, and it is the opportunity always there. But I have to admit, my infantry days definitely, the way that I manage stuff now, it's definitely from how I was in the infantry.
It definitely helps you grow as a person. What I was trying to say is, like, when I was in, there was a lot of politics coming in here, and there wasn't as much opportunity. If you look at like Colchester, the jail, how it was in the 90s compared to how it is now, it's night and day compared. It's all about personal growth and all that. But infantry does make you to be a psycho, and like makes you
what makes the grass grow and all that good stuff.
Sorry, Simon.
So
on you go.
Obviously you're known in the community for Rhino Hammer. How did all that come about? Where did that start from?
Oh, I love talking about Rhino Hammer so much. So when I got into the 1 RRC, I wanted to see if there's any people about that actually did it, because a lot of people just stay quiet. Obviously, playing with plastic figures in the army, not a lot of people are happy. So I stood in front of the whole of the regiment and literally went, I'm starting a wargaming club. We're going to play Warhammer, Bolt Action, and there was a few laughs and giggles. But as soon as everyone went away, I had 6-7 people come up to me and go, this is really cool. I used to do this when I was a kid. I didn't realise it was a thing in the army. Is there somewhere where we can go? You know, and that's when I went to my QM and explained that I needed a room. He was like, "Boss, there you go. That's that room you can use. Go and ask so and so." I went and asked so and so, and they said yeah. And then from there, it's just growth. And then what I wanted to do was create an event and see how many other people were actually out there that were interested in doing and playing Warhammer. So I came up with being in the Rhinos themselves, one RLC, Team Rhino, and all that good stuff. And not only that, what really fitted really well was the picture for the first poster was a picture of a rhino as a Warhammer rhino. So I was like, actually, it goes really, really well. So I called it Rhino Hammer. There was a few other names in place at the time, I think, but Rhino Hammer just sounded like, yeah, that's got to be it. So I created the event, and I was trying to look for a few other people, and I've managed to find John from One Rifles, who had already established a wargaming club within the Rifles and got really big, and that's probably a different story, but he came and gave me a hand, as in putting me in touch with other people that also did clubs. So when I first ran Rhino Hammer in 2021, we got 4 teams in, 1 RLC, 22 Engineer Regiment, 1 Rifles, and 3 Army Air Corps. So I was a bit like, this is really, really cool. And we had 30 people turn up. The RSM came, the Garrison Sergeant Major came, my Colonel turned up, and she was impressed. But what was really impressive was the Colonel from the Engineer lot had turned up, as well as my Colonel. So there was 2 Colonels there, and they were literally like, this is really, really good. I think you're onto something here. And everybody absolutely loved it. And that was only at 1,000 points at this point, because I wanted to do something different, because every major tournament is 2,000 points. And Rhino Hammer really was originally just to see about being more of a, this is what we do, come and have a little try, see if you like it, come and get involved. So then when I rang it the second time, oh my God, it was absolutely mega, because once you do it the once and you run it out. But I think the main reason was I just wanted to see how many other units were involved. And now it's just got so big. Like, we're talking, I now have contacts for 27 units just within the army that are all starting out on their own clubs. And that's not including the RAF, who have been there for years, who have been quiet on doing their own thing. And then you've also got the Navy clubs, who have also been a bit quiet, minus the submarine thing with the ice. But yeah, it's just, yeah. It was mainly, I started it mainly because I wanted to see what really was out there.
But
But yeah.
Is that just 27 units in the UK, or is that like?
That's just 27 army units, mainly from the UK.
And you still get like Germany and Cyprus and all the other ones that are maybe doing it as well.
So a couple of the units that are just moved out to Cyprus. And there's also we've got the Gibraltar Regiment as well, obviously with SM Battle Reports. That's where they grew from originally, was from the army, being based in Gibraltar. So I've got the contacts there. Yeah, it's massive. It's gone bigger.
So speaking of your contacts, obviously you got guys like Liam Dempsey involved, who's ex-army, Valrak ex-army involved as well. I think Tabletop Tactics, did they get involved as well?
Yeah.
So how have you found the community then? You found them quite supportive? Were they quite easy to approach?
The first time we ran it, the first person I went to was Duncan Rhodes, and I will never forget it because I was with my wife shopping, and I had this phone call, and I was like, okay, this is a bit weird. It's a private number sort of thing. So I picked it up, and it was like, oh, hi, I'm the secretary for Duncan Rhodes. And my wife was like, you look like you've seen a ghost, you've just gone pale. And I was like, he wanted to ring you, but unfortunately he's been really busy. But we're really happy to support you. What would you like in support? I asked for, I think it was 30 stickers to be signed, as well as if they wouldn't mind, because at this point, this is when he was coming out with his brand new paint range. Could we potentially have some new paints? Unfortunately, the paint range, he said that he'd already sold the ones that are already on the shelf, and he didn't have any to come in time. So instead, he sent us a massive Kill Team box set that had just come out. I think it was the one with the towel.
Yeah.
And he has personally signed that for me as well. And I was like, this is mega. I've got Duncan Rhodes. If I could get Duncan Rhodes, I'm not afraid to ask anybody else. So Goblin Gaming got involved. Element Games, fantastic. You know, the manager just went, yep, here you go. Have a massive Kill Team box set. Goblin Games sent a few vouchers. And I think that was it for the first one. The second one, oh my God, it just, do you know, I forget, at this point I thought, right, I'm just going to bug everybody now and see how much, and see what the community's like. So when I got an email back from Tabletop Tactics, I was like, oh my God, these are the people that I watch on YouTube. This is absolutely fantastic. So then when Liam Dempsey got back to me, again, I was just like, oh my God, this is absolutely fantastic. After meeting him in Factorum at someone else's tournament, and it was, I feel like it was Liam who really led me to the charity piece, because he was the one, because I didn't know about Models for Heroes at the time, and Liam was like, you should do this for Models for Heroes. They do this, and I was like, yeah, why not? So Liam, you know, he gave us, at that point it was DZTV, so he gave everybody free passes and that sort of stuff. However, you know, Colourforge got involved, Tabletop Tactics, they, bless them, they always say, yeah, just some dice, and even some dice in a bag is even better enough. Colourforge, when I got in touch with Colourforge, they were literally like, because I said to him originally, can I just have 6 cans of paint? Like, just something small. And then he was like, hey, I'm not giving you 6 cans of paint. I'll send you 24 at least. And I was just like, this is amazing. And the support from everybody, that is all the they're not sponsors, they're not sponsorship, they're just literally helping out. And then this one that's just gone, I've had Red Grass Games sent me their new, you know, the magnetic thing that now they're posting all over. Some of the boys won that. And yeah, I just can't be more than happy enough. Monument Hobbies, they're getting involved now, and I feel like everybody's sort of like, no, this is a really good cause, and plus the people don't pay; they don't have to pay to come, so it's free, and they get to turn up and play. Although this Rhino Hammer that's just gone, unfortunately, we didn't have any equipment, so they did have to pay £5 for just some of the stuff. But what's £5, you know? And that all went to charity pretty much after that. So, and we managed to raise over £6,000 within the 2-3 years that we've done it, which is fantastic. Little one. Sorry.
Oh, you're right, mate. It's absolutely fine.
Part of the fun of these streams is the interruptions and the madness that goes on in the background.
You can watch me drink, you can watch Casey eat. It's just the whole spectrum of entertainment.
I do overtime sometimes as well, so you know.
Yeah, no, yeah. I'm sure you're meant to be with mummy. But I really do apologise for my little one.
No, you're fine. Hi.
You
Hello. You say hi.
Hello. You're live on Instagram. Please do not swear.
No.
Although we do. Although we do.
Right. Why don't you go see Poppy quickly?
Shane, I was on time, mate. So,
yeah. No, it's all good. But yeah, the support from the community is fantastic, especially when you're in the military as well. It's even better. And I really want to. I can't believe this. So the Army Sergeant Majors helped me out massively. So when he came down to 2021 and he asked about where did you get all these boards from, it was literally from someone who's like a MPGS guy, but unfortunately he's leaving the army. So he was trying to look to maybe potentially sell that stuff, and we were like, you know, and it come across as a little bit too expensive. When we actually did a little bit of digging of where we could get it a bit cheaper, and the Army Sergeant Major literally looked at me and went, leave it with me. A couple of days later, he gives me a phone call over Skype, the Army Sergeant Major, so everyone was like, okay. And he was like, equipment, you need money. There's the Lived In Experience Fund, awesome thing for in the army that helps you out. And I've managed now, after a bit of time sorting it out, which the guys who run it, absolutely fantastic. I've now spent £11,000 of the British Army money on 100 sets of terrain and 100 roll maps,
Fucking
which is
brilliant, man.
which I can finally say, yes, the army has paid for maximum terrain to be able to play Warhammer or any other tabletop game within the army. Not just within the army, twice service time. So I'm now looking at arranging the first ever into the sort of army unit sort of thing, maybe potentially using that kit for the first time. If I'm not too busy, or I use it for the Rhino Hammer this year. Well, it will be used for Rhino Hammer this year. But then I'm hoping that everyone that's been really helpful to send a little bit of prize support or been involved and helped us out a bit, hopefully we can invite them down and let them come down and so they can see the love for themselves. I can't believe I got BFBS involved in the last one. I know that video has been around a little bit, especially with the guys. But we also had Soldier Magazine come down as well, so I managed to get into that as well, which is absolutely fantastic. And they all, when they got here, when they came down to Factorum, what they couldn't believe was not only the amount of people, but how friendly the community was and how friendly everybody was and getting on. And the guy literally from BFBS told me that he only had an hour. He ended up staying 3 or 4 hours. And it's always the same. The Army Sergeant Major says, I'll pop in. I've only got a small amount of time. And then he leaves about 3 or 4 hours later. And I keep telling them it's so like, what's the word? Once you're in, you're in. You can't, you just don't want to leave it because it's just so happy. And everybody's getting on well. There's been no negative like mannerisms from anybody who play competitively or slandering people for taking turns or slower than others. Everyone just helps everybody, and that's why when we did the US versus UK, it was mega.
So how did that come about? Like that's what I was trying to ask you next was how did the US versus the UK come about?
So John, another massive big part in this. Bless him, he's dealing with his own battles at the moment, and he's an absolutely fantastic bloke. And he's left the army, and he's walked away from everything at the minute for his own time. And John, if you're watching, I love you to pieces because he's a fantastic bloke. Because he loves that whole social media platform piece. He came to me and he was like, "Cookie, I've got these guys who are in the US." Who like and that's when I met Valrak through John, and he was like, someone's getting in touch with Valrak and we're on about maybe doing something sort of like US military versus UK military. And I was like, oh my god, this is fantastic. So I got in touch with Chapter Master Valrak. So when he mentions my name on his streams, I always get the little buzz on my phone from blokes going, how do you know Chapter Master Valrak or Liam Dempsey? And it's like, yeah, it's all good. Got in touch with a RAF guy, so US Air Force guy, who's based in Norfolk, and he literally was like, I think he works as part of the, so we have a Padre, but we only have the Padre as like him on his own sort of thing, whereas they have like a religious affairs team. So they have all, like a big bunch of people that work for that, and that's what he was part of. So he was like, "Oh, I don't know how we're going to do it." At this point, I'd already asked places where I could go, what kit I could use, and Factorum was definitely the best place to go. I think the home of the community, especially for a military community, that is. And I was like, don't you worry about that. I'll sort the location, everything else out. All I need from you is 30 players, if possible. If we can do like 30 versus 30, I think it would be really cool. So when I put it out to the British lads, after finalising where we're going to go, there were so many people that wanted to be involved. Now, we had trouble at the beginning of the year with someone else's event, which I can't really talk about too much because it's their event, but we struggled to get the whole 10 Navy, 10 RAF, and 10 RAF Navy and Army. So when I was thinking about doing this one, for me, it was more of a case of we might just do it on first come first basis because of that. But I met someone called Tom, who also plays competitively, and he's in the RAF. But he literally messaged me within a few minutes after announcing it. I've got 10 RAF, 10 Ivy, and 10 Army, and I was just like, wow, I didn't realise it was going to go that quickly. But yeah, and then some people unfortunately dropped out from the US side closer to the time, which happens. So some of our guys went across there. But at this point, I thought, instead of just doing it the one day, I'm going to make a few days out of it and try and host them as much as I can. So lucky for me, again, knowing someone who knows someone, we went to Sandhurst on Monday. So when they first arrived, we went to Sandhurst, which was fantastic. And then a company sergeant major in the Coldstream Guards, Lee Markle, he's also got some kit through what I've done. And he was like, mate, bring them down to Windsor. I'll get them in the Windsor Castle and all that good stuff. So we had a full day out in London. Unfortunately, on the day, he wasn't very happy because as we were watching, because we watched the guards form up. So this is what the US soldiers, the Air Force, should I say? I know they don't like it. So US Air Force, they got to be inside the camp and talk to some of the soldiers that were forming up, while Lee was, I call him Lee anyway, and Lee was showing them around a little bit about history, and he's got such a depth because he's been in for a long time. And he was, and then the commander come across, introduced himself, and was like, I know what you're doing, believe it or not. I've got someone who does it in my regiment who's coming to your thing, Rhino Hammer. I was like, yeah, brilliant. But then when we marched them all the way up to Windsor, and unfortunately, so it's ran by civvies as well as military guys, and we couldn't get in to the actual where they were doing the guard mounting. So we were like, oh. He was I think he was furious. He literally was like, Cookie, just come and see me after lunch. I've got a few emails to go and send. I was like, however, we went to Victoria Barracks in Buckingham Palace, and we literally just did a massive loop after talking to a couple of young soldiers they've just done the King's coronation. So they had a little chat with them, and the US Air Force guys were just like, oh my God, this is really, really cool. And one of them did bring them, one of them had his wife and his kids with him, but, I was like, yeah, of course you can. We're not going to stop you, because he used that week that he could play to have a little bit of time with his family. So I was like, just bring on, and literally was like, my wife's had an amazing time. This has been fantastic. And I was like, it's brilliant. Don't worry.
So do you have any other countries that would maybe like to get involved with us? Anybody's contacted you, or any like Germans or?
So again, talking with John, and it's been a little bit quiet because I've actually just took a step back and went, I've done so much throughout the year. I just wanted to focus on my family for January sort of piece with my birthday, and unfortunately, my wife's dad's passed away now. At least he's at rest. So he was diagnosed with cancer while I was trying to sort out the whole Rhino Hammer sort of thing out at the same time. So this year, unfortunately, he passed away just after New Year, so he made New Year. But at least he's at peace. And I've lost myself now. But, I've sort of just put it all on the back burner. However, the funeral's on Friday, and then I'm going to get back into it. But John has contacts with the Canadian Army, New Zealand Army, Australian Army. So we've now got contacts with the US as well, and they're all really interested. I've been in touch with the Germans, in fact, the Italians as well. So we're looking at potentially doing now a multi-international armed forces tournament, which I think just sounds absolutely fantastic.
It's like the Cambrian Patrol for Warhammer.
Do you know what? That I think you might have just come up with something there, definitely. But yeah, essentially Cambrian Patrol 40k style.
So
Yeah,
what the
definitely.
Champion Patrol is, for people that don't know, is that there's this big massive kind of exercise where you start off at one point and you go all over Wales sort of thing in like 2 or 3 days and do military things, and it's like it's quite a hard thing. Like it's fucking hard. Like I was I was close to it. I was a reserve for it. I was so happy I never did it. But like a few of my mates did it, and it's fucking hard. Like it's like you're up and down the
Yeah,
trails.
to do the Cambrian Patrol is like, I think it is best of the best. You know, you start at the Black Mountains at one side, and you have to finish at the other side by going through a set of scenarios, including a river crossing. You know, and when I talk a river crossing, I mean a river crossing, not just a simple wading thing to wade through it. You've literally got to get all yourselves together and try and get across this river.
Some countries take
And it's
it proper serious. Like they train for it a whole year.
yeah,
Like my
mhm.
regiment, I think our company, it was our company's turn, and we trained for about 4 months. I was a reserve for it, and like even I went through the full training for it. It's like 4 months. It was
Yeah.
brutal. I can see that the river crossing. I
To get
never drowned twice in the river crossing that we practiced. I can't swim.
Jesus.
You know what I mean? Like I failed all my army swimming tests. They put me in. So I can't swim. Oh, you'll be all right. Fucking hell! It was like night time. We did one of the river crossings as well. Brutal.
Yeah, it's literally like it's all down to time as well. But to come away from the Cambrian Patrol, even with a bronze medal, well, to even start it is incredible. And one RLC did it with a couple of teams recently, and they managed to get a bronze, which is fantastic. I haven't done it myself, but I think I'm more than happy just concentrating on coaching rugby and doing the Warhammer thing in the army at the moment. But multi-international, Cambrian Patrol, Armed Forces, definitely. It's on the
So
card.
so like Simon asked me earlier, and I thought that was one of the questions he was going to ask you right away. Where did your nickname Cookie come from? Is it an army name, or is it something you brought up when you were a child? Or
So when I was a child, I think it was more of a case. I got bullied when I was a kid. I was that small, plump kid that got name called. And I think Cookie was actually like someone was trying to call me a big fat cookie, you know. And essentially, when I got to secondary school, they're like, "Oh, Cookie," and I was like, "Oh yeah, cool." And then from there, I started playing sport, and everyone's just been like, "You like Cookie, Cookie," and it's always been now Cookie, just set in from there. Um, Although my surname's actually spelled Cuckson and not Cook. Everyone's like, "So where did you get Cookie from?" I don't know. People just call me Cookie because it's Cookson, I suppose. But yeah, that's where that comes from.
there you go, Casey. I meant to type in your
No,
name,
don't
but
worry about it, mate. Just obviously touching on everything you've gone over there, or everything that you got planned. I know this is something I always ask people when they sort of detail what they've been through and they've got to it. Did you ever see it getting this big?
No. I generally thought it was going to be 30 odd people from a couple of units. I just can't believe how big it's grown. My idea was after doing Rhino Hammer was because it took me quite a long time to try and set it up that first time, and I didn't have any help.
Yeah.
And if there is going to be more people, how can I help them to, get them funding, etc. And I thought I've got to start at the top. And I was in talking with a lad called Matt Bishop and John. Okay, cool. Go give him a kiss from me. Yeah, okay. And then, oh, sorry. All right, guys. Bye. Right, yeah. So now I've got to try and think of where I've just come from, but I was a little bit in contention with because there was a lad called Richard Cole who's a W2, and he came to Rhino Hammer and he was like, "I'm going to take this a little bit further, if you don't mind." And I'm not massively into the whole politics thing. I'm just here to help. And he ran the first ever tri-service stuff, but unfortunately, he only got majority of army people, not so much from the RAF or the Navy. But there I met a guy called Matt Bishop, and we're collaborating with him and John. You know, we were like, this is really going to grow. But I had mentioned to them both that it's about helping the others as well, and that I really wanted to form some sort of committee. So I can very proudly to say that I was a massive part of creating the first ever tri-service wargaming committee. I got a little help from my regimental adjutant, Charlie, mainly because I was getting emails from colonels who wanted to be involved, and I was like, how am I going to select the selection process? I might have just dug myself a massive hole here because I'm in a little bit of water where I don't know what I'm doing. And he was literally just like, look, give it to me. I'm a captain. Give it all to me. What positions have you put? And we're come up with an idea. But there was another WO1, Collier, another great guy, and he was like, no, it was Cookie. Look, we'll sort this out, and then we'll just go for it. Send it out and see what it says. However, now it's got serious. They've now got a charter involved. They help people. We've got our own Defence Connect page, which is Matt Bishop, who does the comm sort of side of stuff. And it's fantastic because then he's gone and made a Signals League now, which is even better for me because it's sort of, you've got the Signals League and then you've got the Tri-Service, which is at the top. So now I'm working on it, and Monday I'm sitting down with a lieutenant colonel from Army HQ to work out an army committee. And the reason why I wanted all these different committees is mainly because of being in the army and structure, having that tri-service, then the services. So now, the RAF have already established their committee. The Navy, they've got the clubs. I'm not sure about the committee, but I'm pretty sure they will make a committee, if not very soon. Then we'll make the army one. The Signals will be part of the army thing, and then we can make an infantry one, so on and so on, so etc. So watching that grow now I'm like, oh my god, this is like, I've been a massive part of all this, and a lot of people do say you don't give yourself enough credit, and I think today, just talking to you guys, realising actually, I think I do need a sort of little pat on my own back and go, yeah, I've managed to
100%.
kick start something massive. So
it probably helped a lot of people who have maybe like picked it up in the last few years, and it probably helped them with their mental health as well. For me, it's helped my mental health a lot, getting back into the Warhammer and doing the painting and that, and even the playing side of it as well. So you've definitely got to give yourself a big pat in the back as well, and especially if you're getting all these different countries involved as well. I mean, it has to start with someone, and
it is, right.
You've got to locate yourself, and maybe Alfie from Fill Your Boots will send you a mug.
Yeah, maybe. I lost 13 mates last year. 8 of them being all suicide, 8 of them being Fusiliers. So it definitely hit somewhere. And I've always stressed that I've always had an open door policy. So, I don't care who it is. If they've got a problem, they only have to. I find in myself, though, after the last person took their life, Fusilier Tudhope, very young boy, had loads of stuff. He just passed his career course as well, which was fantastic. And then to get a phone call from a mate that he took his own life was a massive big dig to me. And I found talking to Samaritans was actually really good. No, don't get me wrong, my wife, I love my wife. But I feel like if you can talk to someone who doesn't know you, doesn't know nothing about you, but knows how to ask them specific questions just to get some stuff off your chest. Oh, it works miracles. It really does. And if I can be even a small slice of cake of just helping towards it, that's my win. And when I ran Minor Hammer 22 last year, 2 years ago now, but Models for Heroes, they came up to me and was like, we've had 2 people come to us for asking for help, and for me, I was like, that's my win there. Forget about everybody talking about it and all the rest of it. For my win was they've gone to get some help. Clearly, someone was struggling at that point. So even when C Studios was, sorry, I haven't mentioned them, but yeah, you know, when they were like, oh, we can give you a painting tuition for free. You know, the boy who, it's been the same boy who's won twice. Maybe I might have to put something on that. But, you know, if he's managed to impress two sets of judges and different judges, it's not been the same judges, it's been two different sets of judges. If he's managed to impress them with his skills, that, you know, that's, I've always gone off with, when it comes to a painting comp, it should be like the rule of cool. And not necessarily this whole edge highlighting and all the rest of it. If it looks cool, then, and to do that, it has to be someone that's not sort of Warhammer orientated. However, I wouldn't mind Duncan Rhodes coming. The problem is because we're military, we like doing it in military time, so it's during the week. Because, like, how can you get away with, I'm not actually working, I'm playing Warhammer on military time and being paid to throw some dice and have a hobby? It's absolutely fantastic, and that's what I love about the army. So,
but you probably know yourself, mate. Like, I had a mate that played football, and you never seen him between August and May because he was such a good footballer that he was away playing football with the British Army and playing other different. Like, and you never seen him. You always seen him when he came back to do a course. So it's probably the same with the community you're building. That, yeah, but you're also doing that. I think the thing about the army as well, it does support people with these sort of stuff, because they can then use it for themselves to say, look, this is what, like, you think that you're just a wee geeky boy throwing dice. You could also be in charge of a Challenger 3 tank when they're getting built, and also throw fucking dice at the same time and bowling somewhere. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and my big, I have to say, I think my biggest supporter at the moment is the Army Sergeant Major. You know, he absolutely loves the fact that we can create a space using working time and bringing people together. And I suppose it's always like a recruitment tool as well as everything else. You know, you don't have to just be sat at home playing Warhammer. You can go and be in the army and visit the world and do a really cool job, but also get to do your hobby, the things that you love. And I'm just getting more and more support every year, and I'm just over ecstatic over all of it. Like, this year, hopefully for me, is going to be probably going to top everything if I manage to pull off what I can.
We'll look forward to see what you got coming up then. I'm going to pass over to Simon after this one last question, because obviously we've talked about Rhino Hammer, the army, everything. But you yourself, what are you into at the minute? What's your army of choice? What's your poison?
Stole my question, you tosser.
You stole mine earlier, so fuck you.
children.
At the moment, I've left it on the back burner, but at the moment, might have dabbled into World Eaters again. Going back to my home grade and going World Eaters, definitely 100%. I love the range. I think the lore is absolutely brilliant. You know, Angron just comes out of nowhere, gets beaten up, but then comes back again for the next time and again and again. And I think the whole thing is absolutely fantastic. So for me at the moment, it's World Eaters, definitely.
I'm a big World Eaters fan, so I approve this message. Have you? That's a good question. It follows on from that. Have you read? I've just read Angron, Slave of Nuceria. Have you read it?
So, no. And the only reason why I don't really read books as much is, I suppose, I do make myself a lot of busy, quite a bit, and then trying to also balance it. But I do have audios, and I've already listened to the Ragnar books, because originally I'm a Space Wolf fan. You know, I love Space Wolves. So I've read all the Ragnar Blackmane books by audio. I'd rather lie there and listen to it than actually have it in my hand trying to read when I'm not very good at reading myself. So
it is on Audible. That's what I listen to on Audible, because I was reading and stuff. So there's one question in chat from Shane, who incidentally gave me the Audible. It's all coming together, so it's all linking. He said, can you make a recommendation? Somebody you should ask for help. Snot Goblin Gaming, new startup that does completely modular gaming scenery. So that might be someone you can think about, or maybe you've already contacted them.
Already done it. Already spoke to them. They want to help. They would like to provide some price support. Unfortunately, at the moment, obviously with it just being what do you call it? You know,
Kickstarters.
Kickstarter.
Yeah,
That's
the
it.
Kickstarter. Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah. So because it's on Kickstarter at the moment, there's not much room there. But he said once it goes off, he's gonna literally, yeah, he wants to be a big part as well. So
And just a
it's really
comment
good.
from Saint Celestine, one about perpetual war breeding world peace and international goodwill, which is a good point.
Oh yeah.
Brings people together. Ironically enough, people are playing war games, but it brings everyone together.
Yeah.
Boltstorm Wargaming, our sponsor, might also be a good person to ask.
Yeah, you got
Yeah.
get him in. Get him in.
Slide him in, get him in, and I'm sure they could donate prizes and stuff if you give them a shout out for the next
Oh,
one.
yeah, definitely.
Let's
Yeah.
get a little bit less serious. I know this is usual one of Dunk's questions, but let's go. What's your favourite flavour of crisp and why?
Oh, no, it's got to be beef hula hoop. Beef
Solid.
hula hoop.
The big one.
And it's because it's nice, it's round, it's crunchy, and it's flavours of beef. And I just love beef, so yeah, definitely.
And
Army
also,
rugby beef.
Yeah.
it's beef.
And you can hold them on your fingers.
So,
So I can put them in the pocket, do my attack, and just.
so not the giant hula hoops, then you don't go giant hula hoops, you go regular.
No, just big enough for my hands. That's doable for me.
Also, just quickly, with regards to sponsors, I know influencers get a lot of stick, but I would just like to say Liam Dempsey and Chapter Master Valrak both do a hell of a lot of stuff for Models for Heroes, big donations, raffles, etc., etc. So I think that's worth a mention that not all influencers are dicks.
Like you.
Like me.
Okay,
I'm a complete dick. I'm just out for me. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, we can't say sponsors or sponsorship, but they do help. Like Liam Dempsey, unfortunately, he didn't help me last year as much as what he did before the first year, and that's mainly because he was busy with the studio and whatever he was going through at the same time. Liam Dempsey is a fantastic person. Like, I know there's a persona with him when he's doing his stuff, and some people have a bit, but when you actually meet the guy in person, down to earth, lovely bloke. And it goes the same for Chapter Master Valrak. He literally, when he got involved, I was like, I'm gobsmacked, because as soon as we put the Just Giving page through his stuff, it was going off the rails, and that's because he's built whatever he's built, and he just wants to be able to help people. So when he came down to the US versus UK, you know, people were like, "Oh my god, this is Chapter Master Valrak," and I'm like, "Yeah, he's all right, he's cool." But he didn't just stay in one piece. He did, like Liam as well. They just go around talking to everybody, and sometimes not even talking about Warhammer, just generally asking how you've been or what you've been up to, you know. And that's what I love about that sort of stuff. So them two definitely, without a doubt, has helped me massively. They're awesome guys.
He is a nice guy, Liam. He's gave us a lot of advice for doing the streams and things, and if you want to take it to YouTube. So yeah, he is always someone who does reply to you as well, which a lot of influencers don't, as we have all found out.
All right. Did he reply to this?
Yeah, well, Liam replied, but we have certain people who won't mention names that we've approached and they've just ignored us. So it is nice. Right. It is nice, and not all of them are like that. Art by Tom Green's just said something. Big thanks to you, Cookie. You're always really supportive and there with the like button, top man. And then Shane's just come in with, "I'm so used to Universe responding in GIFs." Oh yeah, he was trying to post a GIF in the chat and he couldn't. So let's go light entertainment. What do you do? What do you like to relax and watch when you're not working or doing the Rhino Hammer stuff?
Big bag of beef hula hoops on the sofa, watching Zulu. So when I was growing up, with my nan and my granddad. My granddad was in the Worcester Regiment, and they had I don't know why. They never told me. Even now they're both in the ground, bless them. They both loved Zulu, and they just kept watching Zulu. And for me, that's all I grew up with. So when I find myself with a bit of time to myself, I'll sit there with my bag of hula hoops and I'll watch a bit of Zulu.
I'm going to jump in quick. What regiment did you just say your granddad was in?
Worcester's.
Worcester's. Sorry, I thought you said Wiltshire's, which was my old granddad's regiment. So for a second, I was like, friend, but no.
The Wiltshires and Dorsets are a good regiment,
Yeah.
definitely.
So, if you had the choice of not doing either, right, what would it be? Building your boots for parade or edge highlighting?
Putting my boots, 100%. Believe it or not, you know, once you get the hang of bulling boots, it's actually incredibly not as hard. Although I thought I was good at it. Now I'm attached to a guards regiment, I'm definitely not good at it. But bulling boots is definitely a way easier than doing edge highlights on a Space Marine, I feel. That's because my steady hand. I'm not very. I can't sit there for hours on end trying to. Although, you know, while we're talking about it, so Sam from Sam Warp Game Studios, I feel like he's probably helped me a lot more. But when I watch his streams and sit and watch with him, I go, oh, now I've got to pick up my paintbrush and try. But no, but definitely, bulling boots is definitely better, I think.
You're lucky you never had fucking bros, man, because we had an RSM that wanted all the holes picked out, so we had to then like burn our bits back, our bros back then, and then have to rebuild it. It was a nightmare. I hated that, man. I hated building boots. I was more of a steel soldier than a camp soldier. I hated the.
You know what though? You know, as soon as you apply the layers, and everywhere else is shiny, you just have to work on the toe cap. I tell you what, watching that with my beef hula hoops, watching Zulu, easy done.
I do like to watch Zulu. It is a pretty savage film. It is pretty.
Yeah.
Old boy, yeah, he did a bad deal in that film. So going on to the questions that we like to ask randomly, what would you rather drink? Are you a Pepsi man, Pepsi Cola man, or are you a Coca Cola man? That's just the real questions now.
Coca-Cola Zero, 100%.
I'm a Pepsi
Definitely.
Max man like you, but it's got to be a bit of Pepsi Max.
So Pepsi, it depends what's on offer, you know. Whatever's cheapest. So when the Pepsi Max for 24 is on offer, we get that. But I prefer when it's the Coca-Cola Zero when it's on for £7. Can't beat it.
Yeah, do you have a particular model that's your idea, like your dream model to get and paint and like have done?
Has to be Angron. No, I thought it would be
not Rust.
Rad.
Not those.
Oh,
You have to pick
stirring.
two angry men. What one do you
You
pick?
know what? I so wish I could have like half Rust, half Angron, and stick them together. And then that would be heaven for me. I think Rust is definitely one, but I have to say I think the new Angron model. But saying that though, when Rust finally drops and he comes out, it's going to be hard. But at the moment, as it stands, it's Angron.
And does Mrs. Does she paint? Does she partake, or is she just there drinking in the own oil?
You know, why are you doing that stupid? What? She gives it a load of grief because she's not into any of that, and I never force it on her. She thinks what I've done is really, really good. But you know when 9th edition dropped, it was the Indomitus box set.
Yep.
My wife worked at Boys, which is like a northern shop, but they did Warhammer, and I pre-ordered 2 of the boxes through them because I knew I wouldn't be able to get it through Warhammer. It's just insane. So I got it through Boys, one of the third parties. They were like, yeah, the boxes come in. Now the woman who receipted them in left them in the trolley on the shop floor instead of putting them straight away. 2 blokes have clearly just, because they don't really know, they don't understand the Warhammer world. These 2 blokes obviously did. Picked the boxes up, went straight to the till, paid for it because whoever was on the till didn't realise what they were. They just had a price tag on them. So got paid for them, walked away with those 2 boxes. So when I phoned up and was like, "Oh, Jill, I'm coming in for them 2 boxes," she was like, "Yeah, they've." And I was so heartbroken. My wife was just like, "Well, I've had enough of this." So she, bless her, she phoned up all the boys' shops to find out where the locust one is to be able to get one. And she drove from Darlington to with a friend because she doesn't drive, but from there to Redcar just to get me these 2 boxes. So when I finally came back home, there was 2 boxes in front of me, and I was like, "Oh." my wife was like, "Don't ever tell me I don't ever do anything for you." So it's like, yeah, no, I can't believe it. This is fantastic. Bearing in mind, she hates it. She does. But if that's not her thing, that's not her thing. But she's willing to buy it for me, which is even better. I give her the name of it. She'll go in the shop and she'll pay for it. Her mom, bless her. So I don't really speak to my family as much as they do. You know, when you marry your wife, you pretend to come closer to their family. But like, she always gets me Warhammer vouchers. It's fantastic. And then all I have to say is, "Babe, I just need to get this if I'm away," and she will go and get it for me, which is fantastic.
So I think it's a common theme that we've had running in here, that other halves don't get it. They just don't. And
No.
I'm always getting it in the ear that I've left a fleck of paint somewhere, or some tiny bit of sprue that I've not picked up off the carpet that she sees at 1,000 yards. But yeah, it is. Don't worry, you're not alone there. It's a common thing across every single video that we've had, where that's the a unifying factor, should we say?
Well, she used to let me paint sort of like in the lounge sort of area.
Yeah.
But ever since I dropped non-oil on the carpet, she's gone in the garage now. So from now on, I do it in the garage, which is it's crappy because when it's cold, unless you've got your heating on all the time, the paints go a little bit crappy, and then I'm just like, oh, do I really want to paint now? Because the garage is cold. I can't be bothered to get them all out just for painting for a few hours to then put them all back. But I'm working on things. I'm working on things, just trying to get back in the house.
So, obviously, as well, you've had your kids in the background there. How, and again, this is a common question that we always sort of ask, how do you find balancing family life, professional life, hobby life?
Do you know what? I think, I don't know how I do it. You know, I really don't sometimes, because my wife sometimes, bless her little heart, she does think of me quite a bit, and she'll just stop me and just be like, what are you doing? Because I'm either arranging stuff for Warhammer, or I'm arranging, so I'm massively into the rugby as well and coaching. Fingers crossed I get a head coach's role at Richmondshire Rugby Club, which is just up the road. But I'm either running charities for them, or I'm doing it for Warhammer, or my job. And being a communication specialist, I'm just delving deep, so I'm constantly busy all the time. And then when I do come home, I try and spend as much time with my family. So although I say spend as much time with my family, it doesn't really seem that, because I'm either going out for the rugby, or actually, I suppose I best start thinking about it a little bit differently. But I do spend, the only time I really do get with the time with my kids is probably just an hour before they go to bed, which is probably not really that good. So yeah, that will be changing. And my wife, you know, me and my wife is, once the kids are asleep, we have because we're so tired, we'll have 10 minutes watching a film together or a series. But the thing is, because at the moment she's not working because she's looking after the young one, it really irritates me, because she'll sit there and watch the series without me, without hesitation. So when we get into bed, it's like, what, huh? We're like 10 episodes further into the season, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I know what that feels like. Working shifts before, you know, you start watching the brand new drama, and then you've done 5 shifts. You come back and like, hang on, what the? When did they die?
Yeah.
Who's taken over there? And yeah, so don't worry, I'll get you on that.
Yeah, but like, I didn't realise how much effort it actually takes to run an event, and after last year, that's the last time I do it on my own. You know, I drove all the way from Catterick all the way down to Factorum, which is Warminster, 5-hour drive, you know. So I drove down, I stayed the night, I went and did the thing in the morning, but, you know, I'm there in the early hours of the morning. I like being, because of the whole army thing, I like being early, I want things a certain way. I knew that certain things were happening, so I was just trying to do it, but I'm my own worst enemy. I'm trying to do everything on my own all the time, because I want it to be the way that I visualize it. And I've got to start let going a little bit, and I'm definitely going to agree with all the guys that do turn up. Cookie, you're doing too much on your own. So I'm definitely going to have an admin team for this year and actually help me with it this time instead of me just trying to do everything on my own. Because you can never do anything on your own. And if you've got a group of people that are around you, especially in this community, it's fun. It helps.
Yeah.
So, you weren't the RLC driver that went to Westminster instead of going to Warminster with all the squaddies stuff, were you? Last year? Was that last year, 2 years ago?
Might have been me. I don't know. No. As in the SP with
There was
all
an
the
exercise in Warminster, and my mate was on a course. I think he was on his anti-tank course, and they
Yeah.
were all getting ready. They had went and done their exercise, and they were all waiting for the 4-ton truck to drop all their kit off.
Yeah.
And somebody phoned the boy and went, "Where are you? Are you near?" And he went, "Yeah. I've just drove by Big Ben." And like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Oh, I'm in Westminster." He went, "You're supposed to be in Warminster."
No, that wasn't me. No, but things like that always happen. And do you know what? That's not. That's just because unfortunately, you get some silly people that just turn off and don't really listen to what they're being told, and it makes everybody else think that the army's not as great or whatever it is. But when actually all it's down to is just a bit of stupidity between a couple of people.
When I'm going to tell a quick story, I love telling this story because I think it's one of the funniest stories. That wasn't me. This never happened to me, but I was there when it happened. When we were in Armagh, we had sent one of the young jocks to go and get the board games for the QRF room. So we says we got up to Bestbrook Mill, got up to the big mill, got up the 2 flights of stairs. Do you know where the quality staff is? No, I don't know where that is. You know where the big dead box of batteries is? Oh, yeah. Go by that, go through the 2 double doors and the quarters rooms on the left-hand side, get the board games, sign them out, bring them back down. So like half an hour, 45 minutes have passed, and like, who the fuck is this guy? He comes in, watty, he's got a paper, bless him, right? He comes in struggling with this big box of dead batteries, and he's like, "What the fuck are you doing with them?" He's like, "I couldn't remember what you sent me for, but all I remembered was the word batteries." Get fucking your head, man.
So my first ever exercise, and I'm like, yeah, I'm doing really well here. Anyway, we get to the end, and there's a massive queue, as always, with the CQ, and he's getting stressed because there's just so much stuff going on. And my mate's like, "Oh, we need a UGL speed loader." And I'm like, "What? There's no such thing as a speed loader." And he went, No, Jen, seriously, Jen, it's UGL speed loader. Go on, get in. So I'm at the back of this queue, waiting for a good 20 minutes before I get to him. And I get to this bald-headed CQ, machine of a bloke, and I'm brand new, and I've just got there, and I'm like, "Can I have a UGL speed loader?" While the rest of them are all giggling and absolutely pissing themselves, he's literally going, "You're wasting my fucking time. Like, you can stand here now, do some press-ups, and then you're going to go and run to that tree over there." And it's like, yeah, okay. So, well, everybody's laughing, and it's like the whole going after CQ for a long wait. You know, and they stood there and it's like, for ages. It's just
one of the worst ones that ever happened to me, right? And I was in my regiment for about a year, right? And I was doing my pre-NCO cadre, and we were doing this night exercise on the kind of V formation. So I was the last man in the back of the V, and the humility went up. So everybody dropped down, but I was told in doing my training, that granted I was in my regiment by a year at this point, so I was about a year and 3 months out my training. And I always did this up until this moment. When the humility went up, I was always told that the light would go up, and then you were to pretend like a tree and slowly make your way to the ground, right? So I started doing this, which I did all the time in every exercise I did. I started slowly making my way down to the ground, and then all I heard in Edinburgh and the Pennytrick Hills was, "Who the fuck is that? That better be you, smudger!" And I realised then that I'd been done for my NCO.
How many times did you do it before you
A
realised?
whole year I've been in my regiment. I'd been on like about 1,000 pointless exercises, and nobody had ever. A couple of people had seen it, but they just thought I was taking the piss. And then as soon as my platoon sergeant like pierced the exercise, "Who the fuck is that?" I knew right away. Even like one of my mates, we were doing this demonstration with the cadets, and you know the monkey runs just in your hands and knees. He was asking for people to like demonstrate the monkey run, and my mate was like, "I'll show how you do it," and he actually started like bounding like a monkey. Like, honestly, I nearly wet myself that day. Aye, like things like that, you get done up, and it's like it's not as if the NCO's going to see the payback, and it's like my NCO, my training corporal was a Black Watch guy, so he never ever seen the payoff, but he must have laughed at when we were all like doing that and training exercises. And then I was still doing it for like a year, an entire year. I'd actually went and done a couple of courses. I'd done my first sniper course and was doing all that as well. People must have thought I was a lunatic.
So I know some people go, oh, you know, it's really bad that people making you do things like. Well, actually, it's not hurting no one. It's creating that mentality of, hang on, we're all in it together. It's a bit of a laugh. Everyone's having a bit of a laugh, and it doesn't ever really get that serious unless some. And in my experience within the army, if it's ever got to that point where it's got serious, they've just been told to shut up, you know, or go away. It's never been something that it shouldn't be. So
Like you might agree, like the basic training and the infantry training, the basic training wasn't as hard as the infantry training, like, because it's just buckling people down. Like, and if you can just handle getting shouted at, I was shouted at from my mother for the first 17 years of my life. So some NCO screaming in my face, it didn't make much of a difference. The only difference was I wasn't getting battered off by him, I was getting battered off my mum, do you know what I mean?
The thing is, you know what? People have to remind like so many people that they're like, oh, why do you go so hard? You go into a serious, you're going into something that potentially can get shot at, or you can get someone killed. So wherever the walk of life you come from, you've got to be able to get drilled into that piece to be going, remembering all your military skills. So your rifle, your medical stuff, looking after the bloke next to you, all of it. And to be able to do that, you've all got to be on the same level, and you've all got to be on the same page. So that first 6 weeks that I did in, or 12 weeks, should I say, in ITC, was probably after the fourth week, I was a bit like, yeah, do you know what? This is not for me, this. But then, you know, we started out with 86, we passed out with 83, which is pretty much unheard of because of the amount of people that DNR or we had quite a few DNRs, but then they turned back on after the boys had just sort of been like, no, don't worry, you'll be fine. You know, we're all sort of having a laugh and a giggle. But like that first 12 weeks was no, screaming and shouting, got to do this, got to do that. Like, you're not doing it right. You're all. But the thing is, though, it was never. People seem to think it's like blanket punishment, but actually, what they're doing is creating that team environment. So, you know, someone's not struggling, and everyone else is doing it properly. Why is there no one else from the team giving them a hand?
Yeah.
So when like everybody's going, oh no, okay, the full school's making us do jumping frogs up the hill, and everyone's like, oh, well, when you think about it, someone's actually struggling a little bit there on whatever he's meant to be doing. Why don't we help him? And the one that we always used to get pinned on was weapon cleaning. You know, they go, right, you've got an hour to clean your weapon system. They never told us how to do it. The fact is you just got to get on with it and do it. Some people were good, some people weren't. You know, someone would take 3 or 4 hours to clean their weapon system, where someone might take only half an hour. But at the beginning, you know, that person who did it quickly would be sat on his ass, chomping away on whatever he's chomping away on, and not actually helping anybody else.
But that person who was rubbish at maybe cleaning the gas parts or something, they could actually be really good at ironing or brushing the boots. So like everybody had like, because when I started my platoon, I had a platoon of 45, and when I finished my first 10 weeks before we went to Cartrick, there was only 6 of us left.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was about to come into. So in my section of 8 blokes, you know, one thing I never got picked up for was my kit. My kit was pressed to perfect, and that's only maybe because my uncle, who was in the RAF, he gave me a few pointers before I went in. So when the section commander came into the dorm and he did his checks for the first time, everyone else's kit got thrown out of the locker to get redone, minus mine. But then when he got to mine and he was like, right, why is yours like that and theirs all like that? Well, guess what? you're all going to go outside and do this now because he's got his like that and everyone else. And do you know what I did? I was just like, boys, give us a couple of quid and I'll iron all your stuff for you. And I find ironing like therapeutic.
Yeah.
So I could easily just whack on a film, Zulu, bag of beef hula hoops, and literally just have the ironing board in front of me. And so when he came in the second time, he literally, as he was walking around, nothing got chucked. And as he walked past, he was like, about time. And then off we went, and we went out and did whatever we needed to do. And then from that day on, no one ever got picked up. And it wasn't then when the other sections started like taking note, and they were like, "Yeah, Cookie, if I chuck you my kit, will you do my kit?" And I was like, "Right, yeah, no problems, mate. Come on. As long as I got my section done first, I'm more than happy to help other sections." And I tell you what, I did buy the beers in on the weekend, so it was brilliant. And that at that point, I was like, actually, it's not as bad as what everybody else makes it out to be. And you sort of understand why things get said, or, you know, don't get me wrong, there was some NCOs that took it a little bit too far. But definitely for me, the NCOs that I had, if I didn't have them, I wouldn't be the soldier that I am now. And in fact, when I moved to Catterick recently now into my new job, this is what I love about the army. It's that you train with people, you don't see them for years, but as soon as you see them, it's like, wow. So 2 doors down from me is a guy that I've not seen from 2RF since 2013. So when I moved in, I didn't realise who it was at the time because I was doing whatever I was doing. And all I heard was, Cookie! Cookie! And I literally turned around, it's like, oh, Scran! You know, his nick, that's what we call him, Scran. He loves to eat all the time, so his nickname was Scran. And it was like, oh my God, mate, how are you? And I was like, I cannot believe we've literally just moved in. And it turned out he moved in 3 days before when I moved in. So we were like, oh my God. And then he was like, do you know Egg's here? And Egg is my first ever full screw when I was in 2RF that helped me pass my NCO card there. And literally came top of the group. And he was like, right, here's Egg's number, give him a phone. And that night we were in his house having a drink, all of us together. And Stacey was just like, oh, that's pretty cool. I was like, yeah, it is. And then as soon as I got to work, I started seeing other people. So it was like, oh, you can't beat this. Like it's really hard to try and tell a civvy guy what the mentality is and what that bondship is. But until you're in the army or even the reserves, you know, and you build that bond, you can't really, you won't have the full effect of it.
It's like a family. It's like a big, massive extended family.
Yeah. You know, as soon as I seen Liam Dempsey, we clicked straight away. It was a fact that, you know, he'd been an RAF technician. So the funny thing is although I've been in the army 15 years, I never went on tour. When I joined 2RF, they'd just come off Eric 10 and they lost 7 lads.
Yeah.
But not only that, they had a lot of injuries. And I think that at that point, you know, there was 36 of us that joined that was on rear party waiting for them to come back. We all knew there was 36 lads that were going to join a company. They were like, right, we're going to get together, get marched round, and you're going to go meet your company. When we marched around the corner, I'm not going to lie to you, there was 6 guys standing outside. And we were like, this is the company. He was like, yeah, the rest of us have been killed or injured in Afghan. And at that point, I was like, oh my God, this is serious. Like some serious stuff. But unfortunately, you know, the battalion never really went again. We were stuck back on TRB, but Theatre Reserve Battalion, but we never actually disappeared. And they were asking for volunteers at one point, but he had to be an NCO. And by the time I finished my NCO course and came back, they weren't asking for volunteers at that point. So I always said from there, and then I met my wife. You know, I've been married now 13 years this year. It's crazy. But when I met my wife, it was like, I'm never going to really, that thing never fazed me. Having all the medals is really cool to be, that you've had that experience. I've done plenty of exercises. I've been to Belize, I've been Canada, I've been everywhere else. I know if it comes to the job, I know full well that I can do my job when I need to. But, you know, I'm not going to hunt for it, and I'm not, you know, I go into the mess now, and I've got my first medal. I've got my first Jubilee medal just before it stopped, but I'm not bothered about that. You know, all I care about now is earning a living and having a good time doing the job that I love doing, and being able to do my hobby within all that is so magical. I'm literally, now I'm thinking about it again now. I'm literally finger clicking on, right, what do I need to sort now, and what's the next bit I need to go. So there's definitely going to be an inter-army unit thing that's going to happen, and I'm trying to look at doing four events in a year. So I'm looking at inter-army unit, always the US versus UK, because now that seems to be a constant thing now. Multi-international Armed Forces Day, and then obviously Rhino Hammer. Rhino Hammer has grown from 30 to 110 to now 130. I've now, with that £11,000 and managed to get all that stuff, I can now run 100 tables of terrain and have, I've got 100. So I can have up to 200 people in a room playing Warhammer, or whichever gaming system they want to play. So it's I'm just getting giggles by it.
Hey, I'm going to have to cut us off there because I love watching Love Island, and it's nearly a Love Island thing, unfortunately.
Got that.
And like, it left us on a cliffhanger last night because there's still 2 people to get booted out and 2 people are coming in.
Me and
So-
the wife watches it as well.
Oh,
Yeah, so I'm going
what were
to.
you lot?
Yeah, listen, you've got to
Get
do what you've got to do.
Oh my God!
You've got to do what you got to do. But don't hate the player, hate the game.
Before
I do hate the
we
game.
go though,
Wait.
I know we've talked a lot, but do you know what you guys do? That like other not unfully influenced, but other people that do the whole Instagram live, I think that's where that hobby love really does manage to keep going and keep loving. It's because of what you guys, and watching who you talk to, it feels really privileged, the fact that you've asked me to come on. It's mega. All right, considering some of the people that you've talked to, but
It was a no-brainer for me, to be honest with you, Mucker. It was had to get you on, and like we're trying to cover all spheres, and I've got a few of my old army mates that follow me on Instagram as well, and to show them that they're not the only ones that play Warhammer, and even a few of them are out now as well, to even try and get them to hook up with other people and play it as well. You're doing a massive thing for the community, especially for mental health as well. And just want to leave it on notice that if you are struggling out there, like myself and Chucky, we've all lost people through suicides, and if you are struggling with your mental health, I've got a dark dog with me that calls me all the time. Like, I've experienced loss in Arman, I've experienced loss in Bosnia and Kosovo, and I had mates that killed in Iraq and Afghanistan. Like, speak out there if you are struggling. Like, don't bottle up. There's people out there to help you. It's not a good solution because it's forever. You know what I mean? Like, you can't take it back. Speak to your friends, speak to your muckers. They'll help you through. You know what I mean?
And I always say it to everybody at work as well. You know, even the people that I don't know. You know, you can always see when someone's having a bit of a bad day because of the way they act. And it's like, do you know what it is, mate? I don't know who you are, but if you need someone to talk to, just have a chat. And sometimes I go and have a coffee with them, and then within a couple of minutes, they're like, "Cheers, mate. I feel a little bit better now. Done. See you later, pal. Keep your head up. I'm always here. You know where my desk is, and that's it." So yeah, I think it's fantastic what we do.
Yeah, thanks very much for coming on. Well, we'll love to have you back on later on during the year if we're still doing this. If Simon's still kicking about in his elderly years, do you know what I mean? He's probably still got that video on and drinking Budweiser. Who the fuck drinks Budweiser for over 25?
You've got a hoodie on.
Yeah,
It's cold.
but I've got heated on as well. You're wearing your stick. You're probably wearing that brown hoodie with your fucking stick.
I have to say, I'm with Simon on that. I don't mind drinking a Bud or two.
That's man. Tenants all the way, boys. Right, guys. You got anything to say before we go?
No, just thanks for coming on. If Duncan Rhodes can't make it for the next one, I am the LD Duncan Rhodes, and I'm available if you need me to.
And if,
Oh, you're very welcome
and if,
to. Definitely,
and if
definitely.
nobody knows where to get you, Cookie, final word for you, where can they find you on all your socials?
Just put in Cookie4559. I think I'm on Threads. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. Is it the X thing now?
Yeah.
If you just put Cookie_4559, it should come up. And I always have a picture of what. In fact, I don't know what my picture is now, but yeah, I've always got some sort of thing on there with me. What's up?
Just put tiles all over the carpet.
And on that bombshell, folks,
Yeah.
we will see you on Sunday with Art by Thomas. Have a lovely week. Have a lovely rest of your week, folks. Stay safe. And again, thanks for coming on, Cookie. Take it easy, my man.
You're
What
very
was that
welcome.
fucking
Thank you
salute
very much,
about?
boys.
What was that all
You take
about?
care.
Fucking pain. What was that salute all about? What was that?
I'm taking a piss.
Oh,
Civilian
You mentioned
bullshit.
it.
that's great. That's great. Right. See you later on, folks.
There you go. We go.
See you later on.
Thank you
Bye.
very much.
Bye.
You take care. Bye-bye. Bye.